for a few minutes with Montgomery County Commissioner Joe Gale. And Joe, thanks for coming on.
Good morning, Darryl. Great to be on the show.
Is all well with Joe Gale?
Yeah, today's going to be my 8th week in my new position as county commissioner, and it's a wonderful experience, learning a lot, meeting a lot of new people, and really enjoy the job.
Well, very good. Let's talk a little bit about an announcement that you made last week, and I mentioned a couple of minutes ago that the year before this is now seen as sort of the year of the anti-establishment candidate, especially for Republicans, but you might say the same thing about the Democrats with Bernie Sanders' candidacy. But last year, you pulled not one but two upsets against the establishment of the Montgomery County Republican Party, and now you're endorsing Donald Trump. What led to this decision? Well,
last year with my race, it was a microcosm of what we see going on now nationwide. And what it reminds me of, I believe that history repeats itself, and it reminds me of 1980 with the race with Ronald Reagan. You know, he was the greatest threat to the establishment and, the greatest threat in 35 years, and now we have Trump. And Reagan had that famous line, when you can't make them see the light, make them feel the heat. And Donald Trump's definitely making the Republican establishment and all of politics in Washington feel the heat right now. And he's touching a nerve with the public. And I think the public I'm very confident that the public has confidence in Donald Trump. They have confidence that he would be a common-sense conservative with strength. And I ran as a common-sense conservative, and I see that Donald Trump has the same platform.
Of course, one of the debates going on within the Republican Party nationally is Donald Trump a true conservative, or does he come to some of these positions for political expediency? Of course, Reagan's transformation from an actors union activist and really an activist Democrat, kind of a Roosevelt Democrat, to what he became as president was a long transition over a long period of time. Donald Trump was espousing some of these rather left-wing positions not all that long ago.
Yeah, but if you look back, even if you look on the Internet at old videos and interviews from 30 years ago with Trump, he talked about outsourcing, manufacturing, outsourcing jobs, a lot of the same platform that he's discussing today. So, people evolve. He's never held elected office. And I think he's just a guy, business-minded. He would get in there and actually make a difference. For decades and decades and decades, we also hear politicians, as Donald Trump says, they're all talk, no action. Mm-hmm. They talk about the border, yet nothing gets done with the border. You see these deals like the Iran deal, a horrible deal. I can't picture Donald Trump agreeing to a deal like that. ISIS, I think he would be strong with ISIS. The Middle East has been a mess for decades as well, way before the Gulf War. And I feel confident that he also brings jobs back from overseas. So I think if you look back at Donald Trump's history, he's been talking about outsourcing of jobs, trade deficits for years. And I think if he gets in office, we'll actually see employment rise, and we'll have the economy stronger than it's been for a long time.
Certainly there are parallels to your experience last year here in Montgomery County and what we're seeing play out on the national stage. Now you came sort of out of nowhere. Donald Trump comes out of reality television. He's been a personality and has been around for a long time. And as you say, you can find YouTube videos that go back decades for Donald Trump. So he brings with him a certain amount of baggage, be it good or bad. You sort of came out of nowhere. Does the baggage that Donald Trump brings, and when I say baggage, I think things like, and this was sort of something that relates to your experience last year, you ran in the primary against somebody that sat on the board of Planned Parenthood. Of course, a lot is made of the comments that Donald Trump has made about Planned Parenthood. How do those things jive for you?
Well, they said the same thing about Ronald Reagan. Go back to the parallel. Reagan was a former pro-abortion Democrat years ago and evolved. And, the whole thing with Trump is it seems like no matter what they say about him, whether they're evangelicals, Christians, men, women, Hispanics, people are gravitating towards this campaign because we hit a tipping point. My election was an example of the tipping point, and now we see it nationwide. And that's where we are right now. People are fed up with politics as usual. They're tired of the political establishment. The last thing they want really is another politician. They don't want another senator. They want something new, refreshing, and somebody that's actually going to be strong and get the job done. And what I see is, for the polls reflect this, is they don't care about his past. It seems like the more they attack Trump, his numbers go up and up and up.
Mm-hmm.
He's winning. He won huge in Nevada. He won big in South Carolina. I think he's going to do great tomorrow with Super Tuesday. It seems like nothing sticks to him. He's just of the people. He's a populist. And when that happens, he has a great momentum behind him. I feel like he's going to be the next president.
And you mentioned this, and this was the case for you last year, locally, obviously on a different scale. But the establishment sort of has one way of looking at things, and they see it as, well, Donald Trump is not only going to lose to Hillary, but he's going to devastate down the ticket. Down the ticket, we're not going to win. But they don't account for those people that are brought into the process, which is really key for your victory.
He had a rally last night at a stadium with 35,000 people. Yeah, the other candidates, they just don't have that electability factor. They're not drawing people in crowds like that the way Trump is. And, the problem the establishment has is they ignore the base of their party. Trump's been the front runner since he announced in June, and all along the establishment has been trying to crush his campaign. And they still are. They talk about broker conventions. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to control Trump. And that's the problem with the establishment. Instead of the good old boys going in to a closed door and handpicking candidates, leave it up to the people. And I think Trump has proven to put people before politics, just like the way I did in my campaign. And I had people that were Democrat, independents, young people, people who never voted before, come out and vote for me in an off-year election because I offered the same types of beliefs. People before politics, common sense. People just sit there and scratch their head like, what the heck are we doing here?
Mm-hmm.
People are flooding across the border. We keep losing jobs overseas, and nobody else has solutions. Trump, I think, would provide solutions.
Well, if Trump wins the Democratic the Republican primary in Pennsylvania, you can tell him that you helped blaze the trail for him last year. So,
right,
the Donald will owe you a debt already.
Well, that's what I plan on doing. Montgomery County, even though it's more registered Democrats, we still have a lot of registered Republicans, and it carries a lot of weight in statewide elections. So I intend to work hard to make sure he wins Pennsylvania when it comes to a primary on April 26th.
Well, we'll leave it there, but Joe, appreciate the time. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me on, Darryl.
All righty. Joe Gale, Minority Commissioner in Montgomery County, and now on the record as a Donald Trump supporter.